Hey everyone, thanks for listening in and tuning in to what's happening in real estate this week. I got Conrad Zerini here with RE/MAX Escarpment RE/MAX Niagara, top broker in the world. And then I got Mission 35, mortgage specialist of mortgages, and myself, Rob Golfi with RE/MAX, the Golfi Team. We're going to talk about a couple of things. Body language when you walk in to a house and trying to feel out what's actually happening and what questions to ask and what not to ask, and that's how you read it. And also, we're talking about escalating clause that just happened, came up in my office this past week, which is we're going to talk about our opinion. So let's talk about body language. So there's a couple of different things here, body language, and we all experience body language with different people. One was, I remember I'm going in on an appointment, right? And everything was going great, smooth, walking in, showing me the house and everything. And then, and I didn't pick up that it was a divorce. I did not pick up on it. And I asked him, hey, so what's your plans? What are you guys thinking of moving to? And like, I spent like 45 minutes with these people, went through everything, just like, I'm like, this is like textbook, like it's in the bag, right? I got this listing. He kind of like, and I'm not sure. I think I asked, why are you guys moving? And boy, he couldn't hold it in. He had to let it out of the bag. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy, he just let it, like, my wife, that, like they were both there. He's just like letting it, he's just letting all the garbage out, just letting it all out. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, doesn't look like I'm getting this listing, because after I walk out, they're going to be embarrassed about it and they're not going to call me. And I was, but that is one I did not pick up. They were divorcing. And normally I do. You look at the signs, the closets, the body language, everything. And you guys both, we both, the three of us combined probably met tens of thousands of people. So we become experts in body language and also psychology and everything else. But you've got a story, Conrad, about that.
Yeah. Well, like there's no question. Back in my day too, being a green little realtor, I didn't know any of that stuff. But I got same thing happened to me. I kind of handled it in perfectly. So I took a course on it. But yeah, so you got to look at their eye contact with each other. Because if there's not eye contact with each other, and if somebody's kind of sitting back and the other one's sitting forward, you can tell right away. Or if the one spouse is circling and not sitting at the table, you know that there's something wrong. Like the vultures are circling.
If one's holding a knife and chopping vegetables at the same time.
I think and then instead of being like, it's funny because normally we're very confident, especially you, Rob. You know your stuff. You're confident. But with a divorce situation, you got to be a more calming effect. You know what I mean? You got to kind of lean back a little bit, let them speak, maybe take some breaks. And so it's a completely different way to handle things. But you know what's interesting, and maybe Brian, you're seeing this too. But I spoke to a mortgage rep recently saying that people are divorced and staying in the home because they cannot afford. So they're staying in the house together and working on some sort of living arrangement. That's really, really, really prevalent right now. Can you imagine? Because they can't afford to
it's a tough one. Yeah. What I end up seeing is, because I don't get the same side that you guys do, because what I end up getting is I get the phone call saying, Brian, don't say anything. Yeah. But I'm thinking about divorcing. How much can I qualify for on my own? Right? And someone else saying that. So I'll always get the one, and we'll go through the numbers and things like that. Or the biggest precursor to the divorce that we do end up seeing is when we're doing an application and I get the Brian, I have a line of credit for $15,000, but don't tell my wife about it. It's going to show up on the application here, guys.
Yeah, no kidding. I'll tell you another big thing. What happens is with the mortgage end is that people, like we found that sometimes people think they automatically qualify for a mortgage, and they put an offer in, and then the bank say, hey, we need a separation agreement. You guys, we don't know how much you're going to pay or how much you're going to get. And then all of a sudden the deal goes dead. There is a conditional period, and they're thinking, oh, they're confident. We got, I got more than 50% down. Even with a 50% down, they sometimes don't qualify, do they, Brian?
No, and that's a great point, Rob. bring that up because the biggest problem we have is unmet expectations when it comes down to spousal support or child support, right? So we can sit and run the numbers and someone can say, I think I'm going to pay $5,000 a month, or I might receive $7,000 a month. But to your point, it's a huge variable until it's finalized, and a bank will not sign off on a deal until they know exactly how much that support's going to be, because it can be a deal breaker, right? If I'm paying 7 or if I'm paying 4, there's a huge difference in my ratios. So the unfortunate part has got to be finalized. Another thing that we've seen a lot of lately too, that people can do is when they're separating the home, you can actually treat it as a high ratio purchase. So what that means is you can actually buy the house off your partner with 10% down. And some lenders will go to the insurance company and you'll treat it like a purchase instead of just taking equity out. So we're seeing a lot of that happen as well too.
Would they increase the current mortgage, or it's a brand new mortgage? I guess no, you can't. You have to get a brand new mortgage because you want the one spouse off that mortgage.
Totally. And it all has to happen at once as well too, right? So you have to do the buyout. Other spouse has to come off title at the same time. So it is a brand new mortgage.
And new CMHC fees again, right? Am I correct about that?
New mortgage, new fees, new everything. Sometimes you can do a little bit of a port or a blend. Like if you can use the existing terms and conditions with the lender, sometimes you can do a little bit of that. But it's hard. I find a lot of times when someone comes in and has that come to Jesus moment on the finances, someone's buying dinner that night and they're making things work again.
For sure.
It's really.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then the other thing about people's, the public's perception, they think if it's a divorced house that they're going to get a better deal. Out of the question. Everybody get that out of your mind. Our job is to get them the most amount of money for that house. It's not a divorce situation, but the problem, the typical divorcing couple is one always wants to go higher on the price than what the market value is. And this is what happens. So the other one spouse says, okay, let's just try it. And then all of a sudden you're chasing the market down. And then once you hit the market, for some reason, it's been on the market a long time. People are putting offers in. They don't know your situation. Nobody, like a buyer doesn't know anybody's situation. No. A lot of the buyers that come from out of town, they don't know. They're not like, it's not like rumors running around. And then they end up not getting what they want because, or they get a market value price, and it's not the price that they originally listed on. So people look at that and say, oh, they got a deal. It's not a deal. You got market value. They paid market value for the house. It's just that they started at a high number because one spouse didn't want to go with the market value price. So people, please do not think that a divorced house you're getting you can lowball because they need to sell. It does not happen. They both want more money. And they need the money to go on to continue with their life separately. Yeah.
It's a great point you make. It's totally, look, this is a supply and demand issue all day long, right? Yeah. I would say coincidentally, if there was a lot of people getting divorced and a huge amount of inventory came on the market, I could see that there is, people have that correlation, but no, you're right. I think that's a great point you make, Rob. 100%. There's without a doubt, right?
Do you guys think it's a good idea? Would people sometimes come to you and not let on that they're getting divorced because they think it's better? Or will they ever be flat out when they're listing the house? They think, oh, don't say anything, honey, because we want to get the best value for the house.
I'm sure it does. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it's a divorce. Like, I'll tell you something. When I list a house and they're going through divorce, nobody knows. Not even my assistant. Nobody knows unless they divulge that information. I even tell my clients that. I say, listen, you're going to tell me this, and I'll probably forget that you guys are going through a divorce unless you guys are, you know what I mean? But I say nobody knows unless you want to divulge that information, but nobody will know.
But in the 90s, when the market really slowed down, actually, when agents spoke to each other, they said, hey, they're getting divorced, tell your client. And it was like it was a thing, right? Like, oh my God, let's go in, right? And it was this kind of fictitious deal. Guys, you get a great deal. They're getting divorced. Come on in, because we we couldn't get offers on properties back in the 90s.
Oh my God.
It was a terrible time. 90 to 95, 97,
that decade was brutal. You know what? Man, yeah. Like Brian missed that decade. Brian, you're lucky. You didn't experience that decade.
I was having a ball at 13, 14, you know. I was figuring out other things in that decade, okay?
That decade, I'm telling you. If you were born after 1999, I think, or you were born in 1990, you were a kid through the 90s, so you didn't even know what the world was going through.
It was tough, man.
Oh, it was tough. But the other thing about body language is, I went on a listing appointment with one of our agents, Chris, and this house was listed like many times, and Chris was a little bit upset with me. I walked through the house. And they wanted 1.7 for this house. It was in Ancaster. You know, I'm not sure how many acreage it was. And I go, like, I walked through. It was a European guy, and he sees me walking through, and he could see and feel my body language that not interested in this house. I'm not even interested in listing this house because he's wanting too much money. This guy's been on the market. I go, and then I said, hello, thank you so much, and everything. You could tell. And then as I left, I shook hands with him, and then I talked to Chris in the driveway for a bit. I said, Chris, like, this is not going to sell for what this guy wants it for. And I said, stay away from it. So anyway, the guy didn't even have to, Chris didn't even have to tell him that it's not worth it. The guy says, he didn't like me the way my body language was on the house. He didn't like it. So anyway, it did get listed. Didn't sell and that was 1, 2, 3, 4, about the fourth time it was listed. And I said, don't waste your time. Anyway, so Chris kept in touch with the guy after it expired. And I think years later, so the time was 2000. So it was 2019. So then the guy waited, and then Chris talked to him in 2022.
Oh my God.
And lists it. So lists it at 2.3 and gets 2.46.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God. That guy should thank me.
Yes.
He couldn't even sell it for 1.6, 1.7 in 2019. And then we're talking awesome. How many years? 3 years later at the height. Like, we're talking February of 2022.
Yeah,
sells
that was
it.
The height.
Yeah. We're talking right at the height of the thing. He sells it for huge dollars. But you know what? I should go knock and say, hey, you look how much money more you got. 2.4, and he couldn't even sell it for 2.6. You know that? Awesome. We're talking $800,000 more 3 years later.
Insane.
See how the market just
you gotta love it.
Oh, you gotta. But that's the body. He read my body language, did not like it, and it. But anyway, we did end up getting the sale after, and we're happy about it. Listen, we got a couple minutes left. What is an escalating clause, and should you do it for your client? I'm gonna read this. Let me read this. It says an escalating clause, also known as escalation clause or escalator clause, is a provision that can be included in the offer to purchase real estate, typically competitive markets. It allows a buyer to automatically increase their offer by a predetermined amount over any competing offer up to a specified maximum price. Conrad, did that come out in 2017 or earlier than that? Because I started seeing...
Yeah, you're right. About 2017. Yeah, it was. Because there was always that thing, you couldn't disclose the contents of another offer. So
right.
Our registrar said you could get a court order. You have to trust the agent.
Yeah.
And if you want it afterwards, you got a court order. You get the list of you can get all the offers if you didn't trust them.
So one of our young guys here goes, Rob, he comes right out. You got
he discovered America.
He discovered America. I said, stay away from that. I says, if you came with me with that offer and you said you were paying a maximum amount, I'm going to tell you, you're going to pay that maximum amount. I don't care.
No matter what. Yeah.
You know what? He had that clause. He didn't get the deal. I told him, I told you to stay away from it, and you didn't listen. I says, I've got the experience. I says, I'm going to tell you something. They used your offer, and that's how they got more money for it. They used you. You gave a max amount, but they went to the other guy. I'm willing to pay more, and got it. So
we had two people came in with the escalation clause, and they had a max. Both different maxes, and then somebody else that didn't have any escalation clause comes up the middle and gets it. So can you imagine two people with escalation?
Oh my God! And they thought they were going to win it for sure.
But they both had maximum amounts, and this other guy comes up the middle and takes it. Yeah,
wow.
You know, it's I don't know, Brian. I know you're in mortgages. Like,
well, we never see those. I've never seen them. That's probably why. So.
Yeah, no, but I'm telling you. It's actually a kind of a dirty way of doing business, and I mean, people came out with it because competition was heavy in 2016 and part of 2017, and people were trying to win deals and they weren't winning, so they came up with this, and I think some deals probably did get through, but I think more the veteran agents are going to say, piss off, come in with your best, and we'll work with it if we need more. But not
well, we're seeing like the multiple offers really, especially in GTA. Like in the last, we saw them in February and March, but now in April, completely dead on multiple offers. Now it's really calmed down. Like there's a lot of inventory now.
Hey, another question. I was going to ask you about this. There's that Prime, that real estate agent that's doing all the luxury stuff.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want his numbers. I want to know what this.
It's funny. You're about the fourth person to ask me. I'll get you. Yeah, and they're not that high.
No, I figured that. It's all smoke and mirrors, eh? I've seen them, the helicopter, the cars, the Maserati, and everything. The nice suits. Oh, they're really doing a good job on this. I mean,
big budget.
Big budget, good looking couple, pretty, I'm thinking maybe we should do something in Hamilton here.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, listen, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk next week.